What's going on, everyone? Bass here. So with Packers training camp just over a week away, 8 days to be exact, and the rookies reporting even sooner on July 22nd. Today, I wanted to go over the three most important things to watch for in the upcoming training camp for the Green Bay Packers. These three things are what I will have my eye on the most, and in my opinion, carry the most weight for the upcoming season. And obviously, there's a ton to watch for in this upcoming training camp. There's dozens and dozens of matchups and things to keep your eye on, but these three are the most important in my opinion. But before we get started, if you are new here and want more Packers news analysis and updates, as I said, with training camp just 8 days away, if you want more Packers updates for training camp highlights, updates, and breakdowns, please consider going down, clicking the subscribe button, as well as putting on post notifications to not miss a video. All right, so let's waste no more time and get this started. At number one, I have which wide receivers will stand out. And this is the most obvious one, and I think the most important, and for the right reasons. It's been the talk of the entire offseason. How will the Packers deal with the loss of Davante Adams? This offseason, the Packers signed one veteran wide receiver in Sammy Watkins and drafted three more in the draft with Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and Samori Toure. But the main thing here is which wide receivers will step up. As we know, the Packers don't have a true number one wide receiver as of right now. Allen Lazard is the likely answer to step up to that number one spot. But honestly, it could be anyone. It could be Allen Lazard, Sammy Watkins, even Christian Watson. It all just depends on who steps up and shows the most in training camp and through preseason. I actually just made a video on Sammy Watkins. There's an article that came out from his trainer basically saying he will be the number one wide receiver in Green Bay. If you want to go watch that video, just click the link right above. I do believe he will get his chances. I do believe Sammy Watkins will get plenty of chances. So will he utilize those chances? And more importantly, will he stay healthy? Then, of course, Christian Watson, the second-round draft pick of this year's draft, the most athletically gifted of the group, but is he ready for that big of a role going into the season day one? We could even see someone like Romeo Doubs, the Packers' fourth-round selection out of Nevada, step up and take on a bigger role than most expect. I know a lot of people think big things of Romeo Doubs and think he will step up year one. Overall, I'm just super excited to see all these wide receivers battle it out this training camp. Finally get to see them put on the pads and go against arguably the best cornerback room in the NFL with Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, Rasul Douglas. These three guys are going to test these wide receivers, and they are going to be forged by fire for sure. So for number two on this list, I have how the offensive line will shake out. So this is next on my list and at number two because obviously it's super important to protect Aaron Rodgers and keep him healthy all season. And as of right now, there are multiple question marks on this offensive line. Firstly being, will David Bakhtiari participate in training camp? Will he finally step out of the rehab group and actually get some meaningful snaps, 1v1s? A month ago, Matt LaFleur said he is hopeful that David Bakhtiari will return for training camp, but we will see in 8 days if that actually is the case. And then as for Elgton Jenkins, I do believe he will start on the PUP this year. The PUP is now 4 weeks instead of 6 weeks. That's why I see it more likely that he will start on that to start the season. So he'll likely remain in the rehab group through the entirety of training camp. So assuming that Bakhtiari does return, which that is the hope, with Elgton Jenkins starting on the PUP, that leaves a hole at right tackle for the entirety of camp. Who will step up and take those snaps at right tackle number one? Through OTAs and minicamp, they gave snaps to Josh Nijman, Cole Van Lanen, Royce Newman. Which one of those guys will step up? Even someone like Zach Tom could step up into that role and take it. So my money's on Josh Nijman. I think he played excellent last year given the circumstances. A third-string left tackle thrown into left tackle number one spot as early as week 3 against the likes of Nick Bosa and many other high-quality pass rushers, and I thought played really, really well. And I think he could flip over to that right side and play well at right tackle. My money's on him, and that's obviously if Elgton Jenkins doesn't go. If Elgton Jenkins is ready by week 1, miraculously, he will be right tackle 1 in my opinion. But I'm basing this off the fact that Elgton Jenkins likely will not be ready to go week 1. And as I said, if I'm a betting man, I do think Josh Nijman will be right tackle 1 when it's all said and done. But on the flip side, Royce Newman has been getting snaps at right tackle, and in my opinion, he is a natural right tackle. I believe he's more of a tackle than he is guard. Now, obviously, last year he got thrown into that starting right guard role. He did get snaps last year at right tackle as well, but when he took that right guard role, we saw him, struggle early on, kind of put it together at the end of the season. But if he steps out and does really well at right tackle and he earns that role, then there's obviously a hole at right guard, and I think that would be for the taking for someone like Sean Ryan, who I have high hopes for. I think he's a day one starting guard in the NFL, but obviously the Packers have other guys such as John Runyon, Royce Newman that will contest him. So I do believe by some point in this year, Sean Ryan will start for the Packers, though. And as I mentioned before, rookie Zach Tom from Wake Forest can kind of play any position on the offensive line, so he could also battle it out at any position on this offensive line, theoretically. And obviously, it gets even more interesting if David Bakhtiari isn't ready to go in training camp. Then obviously, Josh Nijman would likely take that left tackle role, battling it out with Zach Tom, like I just mentioned, Cole Van Lanen. Those three guys, I think, would be the three candidates to start at left tackle. But Josh Nijman has a lot of snaps under his belt from last year, so he would likely take that spot. But all of these offensive linemen will definitely have their work cut out for them. Going against the likes of Rashawn Gary, Kenny Clark, and Preston Smith will not be easy in 1v1s. So for number 3 and last on this list, I have the Georgia boys on defense. The Packers selected back-to-back Georgia defenders in the first round. They had 2 first-round selections in this year's draft, and they selected 2 Georgia defenders, a Georgia defense that was just completely stacked last year, both of which could easily be starters day one on this defense. Linebacker Quay Walker has seemingly already taken a starter role, taking that inside linebacker 2 starter spot from Chris Barnes earlier this offseason. But more importantly, will he hold that spot when the pads come on? A player can look great without pads, helmet, and shorts. But when the pads come on, then we see the true value of that player. Quay Walker is super fast and explosive, and I believe he does fit the Joe Barry defense wonderfully. I'm very interested to see all the different ways they use Quay Walker, whether that be from A-gap pressure or even getting some snaps on edge. But Devondre Campbell and Quay Walker could easily become a very deadly duo in the middle of this defense. Then we have the other draft selection, defensive lineman Devonte Wyatt, who could also start right next to Kenny Clark day one. He has to fight with Jerron Reed, a veteran they signed earlier this offseason, and TJ Slayton for that spot, and he very well could take it. In my opinion, Devonte Wyatt is one of the most pro-ready rookies in this entire draft class, and I do believe he will be starting in the base defense come week 1. I personally have big expectations for Devonte Wyatt as a rookie, and I'm excited to see him battle these young guards in the 1v1s. But those are my 3 most important things to watch for in this upcoming Packers training camp, and as I said, there is much more to watch for, but these 3 are the most important in my opinion. But I want to hear your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you have another matchup or a camp battle or something you're watching for that I didn't mention in today's video? Just leave that down in the comments below. But that about does it for this video. I'll catch you on the next one. Thanks for watching. As always, go Pack Go.